Can you say hello? Hello? She's not gonna say hello.
Hello and welcome back everyone to another One Piece discussion video where we take a look at some pretty unique and interesting Reddit threads and we discuss the theories that the community has brought up. But before we get into today's theory, I just have to say real quick that whenever I make these videos, I make them solely for fun. I bring these theories into the light to show you guys what other people in the community are theorizing and talking about right now. And I'm not willing to die on some of these theories, right? Like, whenever I talk about them, it's not like I pick it out, I'm like, yo, this is it. I believe in this one 100%. That's not the case. I simply just want to discuss it, have a good chat with you guys, and theorize about the possibilities and the chances that these theories are somewhat correct. So with that being said, let's get right into today's theory. So first off, as you could tell, I am filming this in the day, so it's looking a little bit different than usual. But the theory we have today is Shanks knew Ace would die. That's a pretty big one. That's a pretty bold claim to make. I read the headline. I saw he wrote some good things. It had some good upvotes right here. So I was like, you know what? Maybe this will convince me that Shanks knew Ace would die. So let's get this started. Kaido likely knew Ace was Roger's son and he was a D. And Kaido would have definitely gotten the message that Ace wanted to take him down in Wano. All right, so my thoughts on this first part is that I think he is completely right. There is a really good chance that Kaido did know Ace was Roger's son. And the reason I say that is because Whitebeard knew about it, the world government knew about it, and Yonko, who are these powerhouses in the New World, they have a lot of intelligence gathering abilities. And holy crap, we got a follow when I'm not even streaming, so shout out to this guy. But yes, there's a good chance Kaido knew Ace was Roger's son. It's not a big stretch to say that. So this part right here, Kaido would have definitely gotten the message that Ace wanted to take him down and free Wano. That is correct, because Ace went to Wano, destroyed the dragon statue, and beat up a lot of beast pirates. Yamato might have kept the secret, but there's a good chance that all the cannon fodder around Yamato would have been like, hey Kaido, by the way, this hotshot rookie wanted to kill you. So yes, Kaido most likely knew that as well. So moving on now, Kaido said Luffy couldn't be Joyboy either. And it seemed like he was talking about himself. But what if he meant Ace? Okay. All right. I got you here. All right. Kaido clearly knows more about Joyboy than any other character. And he seems to be almost waiting for the past 20 years in Wano for someone to beat him. I agree with the last part. Kaido definitely seems like he wants somebody to defeat him. He's setting himself up as this really crazy bad guy. And he's even, in the last chapter, he threatened the samurais like, hey, I'm gonna enslave all of you. Like, if none of you do anything, I'm gonna enslave all of you. It seems like he does want somebody to rise up against him. So I agree with the last part, but dang, this first part came out of nowhere. He's like, oh, I couldn't become Joyboy? No. When I said that, I actually meant Ace. That's a little bit of a stretch. I think one of the signs besides being a D and smiling was Joyboy or Nika having the power of fire and is supposed to reveal himself in Wano. I will give him the power of fire part right here. I'll give him this. Nika having the power of fire. The reason why I'll give him this one is because they call him Sun God Nika. Why would you call him Sun God Nika if he didn't have something to do with the sun? And the sun, most notably, is known for fire. You know what? Decent stretch. I'll give him that one. I don't understand the revealing himself in Wano part. Big Mom did reference that there is something big in Wano, that there might be something here, and we do know there are poneglyphs in Wano, so maybe Kaido has someone who can read them, and someone who said, hey, Joyboy left something here. Oh, Joyboy is gonna rise in Wano. If Kaido knows this, I'll give him that. But right now in the story where we are during chapter 1043, we do not know if there's any correlation with Joyboy specifically coming to Wano right now. Kaido's dragon powers give him the power of fire, but he's not Joyboy. So he thought Roger's son and Whitebeard's second commander, who promised to come back to Wano and defeat him, must be Joyboy, right? Okay, I will give him this 5% headcanon right here. I bet Kaido, at one point, maybe while drinking sake, was like, you know what? That Ace guy, he has fire. He came to Wano wanting to defeat me. I give him guts. He has guts. But I really doubt Kaido was lying awake at night, you know, shivering with sweat all around him, wondering if Ace would come over and defeat him. Because Ace came to Wano, he fought Yamato to a standstill. He didn't really destroy all too much. So I really doubt Kaido would be like, oh my god, this guy's gonna take me down. If he couldn't take down Kaido's daughter, who he fought to a standstill, I doubt Kaido was too perturbed by Ace's potential right here. Maybe if Ace survived Marineford, that's a different story. But he did not. So I don't think Kaido was too scared of Ace right here. Moving on. So when Ace got captured, Kaido left not looking for a fight with Whitebeard or the Marines, but to save Ace, so he could fight him in Wano and see if he really was Joyboy. I kind of like that. But Kaido never made it to Marineford because he ran into Shanks. Even if Shanks' crew was the strongest, they couldn't have beaten Kaido's crew back and made it back to the battle. So either the battle-crazed Kaido ran away from a fight, or Shanks told him something to make him reconsider. So here's the thing, right? Shanks' crew went to stop Kaido, but we know from the SBS or the Vivre card update that Kaido and King were the only members of the Beast Pirates that actually were going to Marineford. Which, granted, if Kaido and King showed up to Marineford, it would be insane. That would be a nightmare for the Marines. Even though he didn't bring all of his crew, Kaido and King could put in a lot of devastating work. But still, how did Shanks and his crew stop Kaido? They must have told him something to make him turn back. Because Kaido loves fighting. Kaido loves fighting. So I would assume Kaido would have given Shanks some trouble to deal with, right? Like, even though Shanks is, presumably really strong, a really strong freaking Yonko, there is no way he beat Kaido and then made it to Marineford in that nick of time. And not to mention, when we saw Shanks show up to Marineford, he wasn't really damaged. He had no damage on him whatsoever. The guy looked like he just got out of the bath. So it brings into question, did he really fight Kaido? Or did he make some sort of bargain or plea to Kaido to have him turn back around and go back to Wano? And so far, from what we've seen of Kaido, he's not too reasonable, right? Like, you either join his crew or he's gonna fight you. That is what we've seen of Kaido. We haven't seen the negotiating side of him thus far. So what could Shanks have said to Kaido to make him turn back? And then King, obviously he's there, but he would do everything Kaido would do. So yeah, King's besides the point. But yes, Kaido must have been reasoned with at some point. I agree with this, and I think this is a pretty interesting theory. Imagine by the end of Wano, Kaido's defeated and Luffy's just casually talking to him. And Kaido's like, oh man, I really wanted to save your brother, but that red-haired pirate told me not to. He offered me something I couldn't refuse. That would be pretty insane, and that would really shift the focus of the story towards Shanks. But, granted, this is all kind of headcanon right here, but I do like where he's coming from. And there's nothing so far that could make me say that it is disproven. Rather than the fact that we know Shanks' character, we can't say that this is disproven yet. Moving on, Shanks told Kaido that Ace was not Joyboy and that Luffy was, and they needed to let their war play out so that Ace would die and Luffy would grow and awaken. I don't see the point of that, because Luffy would have died like 10 different times in Marineford. He had so many people saving him in Marineford, right? Like, if Shanks didn't show up when he did, Luffy probably would have been dead. The admirals would have kept on chasing him. There wouldn't be that brief pause and delay in the war, and Luffy would not have made it to Trafalgar Law's ship. So, if anything, I would feel like bringing Kaido along would help Luffy even more so, if he wants Luffy to grow and awaken. Shanks sacrificed Ace to make Luffy Joyboy. That's why Shanks didn't make a move until Ace was dead, but stopped the war before Luffy died. Shanks knew Ace had to die and waited for it to happen before stepping in. See, here's the weird thing with Shanks, right? When Shanks showed up to the war, you had Sengoku and everybody else saying, wait, how did Red-Haired get here? How did he make it to Marineford when he was literally recorded fighting Kaido just off the coast over there? Like, he is so far away. Logically, it does not make sense how Shanks showed up this quickly. People are alluding to the fact that Shanks might have some time skipping or teleporting devil fruit, or maybe he even has some crazy wind currents with his ship. But lo and behold, Shanks did show up at a very interesting time in the war. I'll give him that much. Alright, so on to this last point. Shanks told Kaido to let Ace die, and I think Luffy might find out about it by the end of Wano and have to confront Shanks about it when they get to Elbaf. I disagree with this last part, and let me tell you guys why. The reason I disagree with this is because Luffy's whole character development after Marineford, when he's going psycho mode, banging his head into a tree where Jinbei has to stop and save him and talk him into not being suicidal, Luffy's whole character development right there has to deal with the fact that Luffy saw himself as not strong enough to save Ace. He didn't look at Whitebeard and said, oh, Whitebeard didn't help us, Whitebeard didn't show up to us. He didn't say that. Luffy blamed himself for letting Ace die. If he learns that Shanks didn't let Kaido come in and Shanks waited for that one moment, I don't think Luffy would hold a grudge against Shanks. Luffy admires Shanks way too much to let that squabble their relationship. Luffy will still blame himself for Ace's death. He always will. He will never divert that blame onto somebody else that isn't Luffy's character, and that's not too respectable in a way. Like, he doesn't look at Marco the Phoenix and say, oh, Marco, why didn't you help us save Ace, you know? He didn't say that. So he wouldn't say this to Shanks either, who shouldn't even be at this war in the first place. Overall, I like bits and pieces of this theory. I think some of it is plausible. I think Shanks did tell Kaido, hey, turn around, buddy. Like, I don't want you over here. These are no dragon skies right here. But I don't feel like the reasoning was because of Luffy's awakening as Joyboy. And let's say Shanks did know Luffy would awaken as Joyboy. How would he know that letting Ace die was a prerequisite? Because from what we know right here on chapter 1043 is that Luffy potentially died and then became Joyboy. So wouldn't Shanks' goal be to let Luffy die anyways? Why would he show up right when Luffy is about to die and save him instead? Because if Luffy were to die right there, boom, you have Joyboy awakening. Wouldn't that be what Shanks wanted in this theory that this guy's proposing? So that's my personal thoughts. But now into the comments. The most top voted comment right here says, and Shanks was in Luffy's hometown because he was looking for Ace to confirm that he inherited the will of Joyboy or something. But when he got there, he found Luffy and decided to give him the hat, which, you know, probably happened after he ate the Gomu Gomu no Mi. But yeah, this is another thing. Ever since Luffy's Devil Fruit has come into play and to question, Shanks' origins and Shanks' whole play in the first couple episodes of the story is really being shown in the spotlight here. This does sound good at first, but then we have to remember that Shanks didn't even know who he was when he saw him, and then he links us here to a manga panel. Nope, it's a YouTube video, which we are pausing because Toei, please do not sue us into oblivion. But yeah, we have Ace talking to Shanks for the very first time, and they're sharing stories about Luffy, and then he's like, hey, you're my little brother's hero, you're amazing, and then they have a good old time. We get the gist of it. But yes, that is the first time lore-wise that they have ever met. So, it kind of disproves this, because if Shanks was in Luffy's hometown looking for Ace, then Shanks did a really bad job of finding him. If it took him until Ace showed up to his doorstep to actually see him for the very first time. And also, about this last part, about the fact that he found Luffy and gave him the hat, because he probably thought he was Joyboy. I don't like that. The reason I don't like the fact that Shanks might know that Luffy is Joyboy is because it makes a lot of Shanks scenes feel more disheartful. A good example is that when Shanks was talking to Whitebeard, you know, before Marineford, he was like, hey, like, what happened to you, Shanks? Like, you lost your armor, you lost your straw hat. What happened in the East Blue? Those are where the wimps live. How did you lose your arm? And then Shanks said, I made a bet on the future. And that's just so impactful. That was such a cool scene. Having Shanks, you know, going back to it and saying, oh, like, I knew he was Joyboy. That just makes it seem just so disheartful and just like, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good. It makes Shanks' character feel a little bit muddied, and I don't like that. We got to keep Shanks' reputation up high, even though he might be a potential bad guy down the line. Shanks, to me, always a hero to some regard. Yes, Shanks told Kaido, and Kaido listened to rational conversation and changed his mind. That's what I said, man. Kaido is not a guy to listen to rational conversation. He doesn't really make, you know, crazy deals. He's not this business Mongol. He doesn't do that. So if they did have a rational conversation, it must have been absolutely game-changing. Or maybe Kaido just didn't want to fight Shanks. But here's the thing with Kaido's character that I found really interesting. Kaido is always looking for a really good fight. He wants to be defeated one day. But at that same point, why doesn't he fight Whitebeard? Why doesn't he fight, you know, granted Whitebeard's dead. Why doesn't he fight Big Mom? Why doesn't he fight Shanks? Why doesn't he take on a couple of admirals? It's like Kaido is like, I want to be defeated, but only by a certain person. I always thought that was kind of interesting. So let me know what you guys think about that one. That's a unique take. And Shanks went to ask Whitebeard to stop Ace to be sure that Ace will die. Yo, this guy ruined the whole theory with a single sentence. No! Maybe Shanks wanted Ace to die at Marineford in front of Luffy. Nah, that doesn't make any sense. Dude, okay, yeah, this one comment here kind of threw a whole wrench in the whole theory. But yeah, that is true. Shanks went to Whitebeard and said, hey, do not have this kid fight Blackbeard. Blackbeard is on a different level. This scar, Blackbeard gave me that. Do not let Ace fight this man. So yeah, if Shanks wanted Ace to die, why did he not want Ace to die to Blackbeard? That is an interesting one. I'll give him that. Oh, this one's a big one. I mean, nobody but Joyboy has become Joyboy. Roger almost got there, but wrong timing. So Kaido could be talking about anyone and everyone that has ever tried since the original Joyboy probably died. They all tried, they all failed. We have to remember that this has been going on for at least a millennia. but nobody, not a single soul, has become Joyboy apart from the original. Also, I do not think Shanks sacrificed Ace. He even tried to save Ace by telling Whitebeard to stop Ace. Whitebeard did not and chose not to do so. Shanks stopped Kaido not because he wanted Ace to die, that's the son of his ex-captain, but because if Kaido got there, everything would become a bunch more chaotic, and a lot more innocent people would have died because Kaido wants a war. He even said himself when he jumped off the Sky Island. Yes, he did want to create a war even bigger than Marineford. Those were like his exact words. He said, we'll put the old man's war to shame. We're going to cause a war that will engulf the entire world. So with that being said, Kaido would have loved to go to Marineford. So how did Shanks stop Kaido? That's a big one. And yeah, it doesn't make any sense as to why Shanks didn't want Ace to die to Blackbeard, but wanted Ace to die at Marineford. Which also, it brings in a question about how did Shanks even get to Marineford in the first place? I remember there was an old, here's some lore talk here. I remember in a very old One Piece game, they actually gave Shanks a time devil fruit, where you can like pause down time, slow things down, and speed it up. So I wonder if that's actually canon, because it only happened once. If anybody remembers the name of the game or can provide a clip of that, I would love to see it again. But I just remember that was a hot topic back in the day, where they were like, oh my god, this game literally gave Shanks time-skipping abilities. Like, that is insane. All right, so just a couple more comments left to go. This one says, both Whitebeard and Ace learned in the hardest way possible and paid the price heavily with their lives for underestimating Teach, while he's practically only does what he needs, teaching. Shanks already warned them. I think Kaido went all the way to Marineford is to not save Ace, but instead he wanted to crush Ace's head with his own hands for screwing his daughter and destroying the dragon statue. I could see Kaido wanting revenge, but I also see Kaido just wanting to fight. So, also, I don't know where the screwing the daughter part came from. This was a weird one. We'll ignore that one. All right. These Shanks is evil theories just keep on getting weirder and weirder. You're telling me I am the one who has to go through and read like 50 of these a day. Let me tell you, we get some pretty crazy ones, man. Why are all the people saying this? Because if this does happen, Shanks is evil. First off, he's a pirate. Second, maybe he realized that Ace's death is necessary to fulfilling Roger's will. Oh, that'd be so messed up. I mean, what? Having Ace die is part of Roger's will? Roger loved his son. Roger wanted Ace to become the next king of the pirates, man. There's no way did Roger say, oh, I want my son to die. Here we go. That is cap. This is actual cap. So even though he knows that Luffy won't be okay with this, he still did it for a greater purpose. No. See, their comment up here just said it, man. These Shanks are evil things are getting a little bit insane. Having trouble believing Kaido's intentions were saving Ace so he can have a good fight. As much as Kaido wanted it, this is simply out of character. Yes, I don't think Kaido is the type of guy that would go out of his way to save somebody, even if the person was Joyboy. But we don't know his backstory with Joyboy, so I could be wrong about that. But yeah, Kaido saving somebody, I can't imagine it. Kaido's mindset so far has struck me as a, hey, if you die because you're weak. That is his whole mindset, right? So why would he save Ace, a man that lost a fight against Blackbeard? I don't see it happening. So many things about Shanks is ambiguous. Why the 5 elders gave CP0 to kill Luffy after Shanks met them? He must have told them something about making Luffy an imminent threat to them. Even after the events of Cake Island, they weren't serious about Luffy at all. That is true, which is really interesting, right? Luffy had the Will of D in his name. He's becoming a really big pirate. Why would you not take this man out all the way back at like Arlong Park, for example, right? Like they let Luffy become this huge threat. And Shanks went up to the Gorosei and we had that cutoff moment where he said, hey, I need to talk to you guys about a certain individual. And then boom, a couple chapters later, you have the world government going after Luffy saying, hey, there's this crazy devil fruit out there that hasn't been awakened for so long. What did Shanks tell them? Who did Shanks talk to them about? At first, people were thinking about Blackbeard. But now that time has progressed, now that we've had a couple more chapters under our belt, we're all thinking that Shanks might have told the world government about Luffy and his devil fruit. But why would he do that? Why would he betray Luffy to this extent? We don't know. And it's really interesting to see where Shanks' mentality is. Does he want to create another Joyboy? Or maybe. I've heard some crazy theories. Like I said, I read so many of these crazy theories. I've read a couple that actually said that Shanks might be tied to these celestial dragons, which would be absolutely insane and is a little bit cap right now, because that would also make Buggy a celestial dragon. Okay, last one we'll read right here. Parts of your theory are interesting, but the Shanks' evil theories don't make sense to me. Nothing is sinister about him. Dude is just on a mission he chose to take upon himself after his captain shared the big secret of the One Piece. There are some mysteries that will be revealed about Shanks. His new movie will get some more about his motives, and then Shanks' evil theories can die down. I agree. I'm so excited for that movie, man. It comes out later this year. I'm gonna be there. I might even fly to freaking Japan for that. Just kidding. I have no money for that. I think something that should be considered is the relativity of evil here. Shanks might not have been a Blackbeard evil, but he can still be not a nice fellow. I mean, look at how quickly his crew killed people in the very first arc. He removed Kid's arm. Sheesh. Shanks isn't an angel by any means. It's most likely, in my opinion, that Shanks is a super pragmatic pirate. I love the Yakuza theories about him, where he could be evil, but not necessarily a horrible person. He's just more willing to do an eye for an eye, arm for an arm. Someone if they threaten him. That is true. He did take freaking Kid's arm, which we don't even know why. Like, I want to get some backstory on this. We have no Kid flashbacks at all in the entire story. So I want to see why Shanks decided to take Kid's arm. But then again, Kid isn't a nice pirate either. When he was introduced, they literally said, Kid has a high bounty because he kills a lot of people. He destroys a lot of villages. So maybe Shanks saw that and was like, hey, you're not a good guy, so whoop, there goes your arm. We don't know yet. All right, so my final thoughts about this theory is that I agree with some of it, but I disagree with Shanks wanting Ace to die. Shanks did not want Ace to die at all. But there are things that are suspicious, like his timing at Marineford, and also what he might have said to Kaido to get Kaido to not go to Marineford as well. Kaido, like I said, is not a reasonable guy. He would not just listen to a calm, collective conversation and say, oh yeah, okay, you're gonna go save Ace? You want him to die? All right, hey, we're gonna go home. See you later. Kaido would not do that. So Shanks must have told him something to get him to turn away that is reasonable. And also, let's say that that conversation didn't go well. Shanks had to fight Kaido. Shanks had no damage on him whatsoever by the time he arrived in Marineford very shortly later. Like, he had no wounds whatsoever. His cape and his whole uniform was all put together. So this either meant that Shanks low-diffed Kaido, which is impossible, or Kaido just willingly turned away. So with that being said, there are some good things about this theory. There are some bad things that can be nagged. But overall, I like where this guy's head is at. I think some of the comments down below it were a little bit insane. But hey, that's the whole point of this. We just like to discuss it and talk about it. Let me know what you guys think about these theories down below. Do you believe that Shanks let and knew that Ace would die? Let me know in the comments down below. And just overall, I think these Shanks are evil theories are a little bit twisted. I feel like they need to dial it back just a little bit. Instead of saying Shanks is evil, maybe say Shanks is a gatekeeper. I think that's a better term for it. Because I do feel like he is blocking off a lot of information. He is hiding a lot of things from the story. And I feel like going forward, Shanks will become somewhat of a problem or something that Luffy has to overcome. Maybe proving to Shanks that he will become the next Joyboy, that he is carrying on Roger's will. But yeah, with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please consider liking and subscribing down below. We do these discussions daily unless there is a weekly chapter. But since there is no weekly chapter, we're just going to go down these Reddit threads and talk about them. So, like I said, see you guys next time. Sai signing out.